Malicious actors are becoming smarter and smarter every day, and as a result, chances only increase to become a victim of a ransomware attack. You only need to type in any Google ransomware search command, and you can see some of the most devastating impact a ransomware attack can have on an organization. In this presentation, Ariel Zeitlin, CTO at Guardicore, will cover some of the unique characteristics of a ransomware attack and how Guardicore can help mitigate those risks. Ariel, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. So we'll talk about, as mentioned, the ransomware and how organizations should address it, and specifically how microsegmentation is very relevant to this very big threat today to organizations. Just a few words about myself. I'm a CTO and one of the founders of Guardicore. Guardicore, as you've heard, is a software-based segmentation company and focusing on shrinking the attack surface in a very efficient way. So just to give you an idea of how a ransomware attack looks like, this is a real scenario that we have been involved in, as sort of our research arm, basically. So you can see that a customer received a malicious email and opened the Word document that was infected. By the way, an antivirus triggered an alert, but nobody looked at it. And then for the next 8 days, the attacker was moving internally to get to enough of the assets so he can actually encrypt and create enough leverage internal organization to ask for ransom. So he's doing it for 8 days, and then encrypts everything, and then MSSP is involved, and it takes them 4 days to actually pay the ransom, rebuild the system. And this is where Guardicore was involved, our research arm, to help them understand, make sure that the cryptor that they received for the money is actually doing what it's meant to be. So we were involved in a very late stage and help them identify what happened. But just this is a real timeline. So infection to encryption and the whole process that takes here. So we'll keep this in mind when we go over the rest of the presentation. But I think that when we talk about ransomware and getting attacked through email is a very common attack vector or penetration point for ransomware. So to actually address the ransomware, I think there's some basic sort of a security things that I hope organizations are doing already today, which is email security, EDR, web application firewall, because some of the attacks are actually going through the external assets of the organization, URL filtering, and so on. But as you have seen in the previous example, having all of this is maybe not enough, because there was actually an antivirus in this scenario, and nobody was looking at the alert. So having a SIEM or procedures around looking at alerts is as important as having those tools. But I would believe that a lot of organizations actually have some sort of a combination of that, or doing that actually for a long time before ransomware was such a big threat. I think that from our experience, there is one very effective method and measure that not a lot are doing, but can be actually super effective. So I would argue that this is one area of investment that can be very efficient or effective in effective dollar spend in protecting against ransomware. And this is a segmentation, or reducing the attack service and controlling the access internally. So just to give you an idea why segmentation is such important tool for fighting ransomware, just let's review a few of the most recent known attacks. And if you read it, the sort of the postmortems of those attacks, segmentation is flagged in each and every one of them. In fact, if you look at the recent White House call for organizations to apply measures to fight the ransomware, segmentation is flagged one of the 5. So this is really a basic capability that could have potentially not stopped the initial infection, but definitely reduced or limited the incident. So it's not catastrophic, but something minor. So with that in mind, let's have sort of a visual effect of what impact a segmentation can have on your critical application. So let's say this is the critical application. If it's infected, then you will be forced potentially to pay the ransomware. So without segmentation, all of the assets organization can access it on many ports, on different servers, and so on. So vision and this is the actual requirement of this application for its function. So you can see that you can see the number here, but in our experience, more than 99% of possible communication paths are just a risk that you have on your critical application. 99% of them are not needed. So this is the actual effect, the impact of a segmentation is reducing the attack surface by a very significant percentage. So if we look at the ransomware from ransomware attacks from end to end, this is the Gartner view of how organizations should prepare and defend against ransomware. And they kind of split it into 3 phases: the before the incident, during the incident, and after the incident. And those 3 phases are broken down to the 5 different stages. And what I want to show you is how visibility into the networks and ability to apply segmentation or apply access control or communication control efficiently can help you prevent, deal, and recover from a ransomware attack. The one thing to keep in mind, as I mentioned, and in the example that I gave, is that there is no ransomware without lateral movement. And this is very important because for the organization to be pressured enough to pay the ransomware, the attacker needs to control enough of the critical assets, which is rarely where he lands initially from an email or so on. So lateral movement is a key component in making sure that even if you're infected, you're not brought to a point where you are actually need to pay the ransomware. You can actually quickly recover and detect. So when Gartner talks about preparing for ransomware, it says you need to understand your environment. You need to understand where are your exposed or external assets are. You need to understand where your critical applications, where are your backups, where are your file servers, which in many cases are the target for ransomware. And it's clear that visibility and maps, as we showed in previous demos, are super efficient to that. You can see your entire organization, you can see entire map and understand where you should focus and where the threats will be coming from. On the prevent side, applying efficient controls that will limit the access from users to applications, that will limit the access between the applications, sort of an actual segmentation of different applications, business units, will reduce the attack surface and will limit the lateral movement, to limit the propagation. This is what segmentation is all about. Another thing so this helps prevent, if not the initial attack, but definitely the impact. The other thing that you can do as part of the preparation, and Thibault showed you how templates can be helpful in this case, is create set of rules that are there but not activated, that sort of red buttons for environments. For instance, you can say, stop SMB communication in my environment. Not apply this rule, just prepare this rule, and put it in the playbook of your ransomware attack response. So when this hits, you just hit the rule, which is already prepared, and it stops the daughter movement. So having those preloaded rules for mitigation is a very important piece of preparation and mitigation later. As we are dealing with the incident, by the way, the incident, if you've done a good job in preparation and prevention, the incident you will be dealing with not encryption of all your servers. You will be dealing with someone is trying to move laterally, blocked and alerted, and hits some of your detection mechanisms, because this lockdown is trying to move laterally and will alert something. So it's a much better scenario to deal with than everything is encrypted. So having this walls and having this visibility helps actually detect malicious activity, because you can say, don't let those applications talk to each other. In fact, let me know if someone is trying to talk to cross those applications. So very effective alerts come from the segmentation itself. So detecting access to malicious IPs and so on is very helpful. So this helps detect the ransomware before it becomes a very bad situation in your network. And then once you understand something bad's going on, you can start activating those quarantine rules, or actually say, okay, this segment is probably infected. I want to disconnect it from my production network. I want to disconnect it from manufacturing, my critical applications. I want to disconnect users. I want to disconnect offices. So applying those very effective sort of ad hoc segmentation rules are very critical in the remediation sort of a stage when you are being attacked and you want to stop it and clean it. And surprisingly for us is how effective microsegmentation is in the recovery stage. So let's say you didn't have enough time to do a very good job here, and you have been hit by ransomware, and you have now you need to recover your networks. The way usually the networks are being recovered is that you take an application, you recreate it in sort of a sterile environment where you actually disconnect sometimes the virtual network cards from the server, so it cannot be infected again. You monitor it, you see that it's fine, and then you connect it to the network. Now imagine how easy it is to do it with segmentation. You actually create a virtual wall around your application. You monitor it, that it's fine, it's working, it's not infected or being reinfected. And then you slowly open it up by just changing the policy around this application. So recovery becomes a very simple and very controlled process. And I think with that, I hope I made it clear how visibility and segmentation, those two major capabilities, can help you prepare, prevent, detect, and deal and recover from ransomware. And if there are any more questions, we're happy to address them. And hope we will spend much more time here than here. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Ariel, for providing these insights in how ransomware works from a high level, and more importantly, how microsegmentation can help mitigate or even prevent a ransomware attack.